Hi, everybody. We are going to get started in a minute. Welcome to Barsha Barsha Barsha. This week we have episode 12, Sara Jacovino, the trombonist from Tina, the Tina Turner musical. I'm so glad everybody is filing in, as they used to say in school. Everybody is filing in to see our friend Sara. Oh, Charlotte, welcome. Marianne, welcome. Sara, welcome to our show. Woo! I'm going to change the fortune cookie and then we're going to get started. Yes. This is beautiful music that the Waitbot is playing for us. We appreciate that. Welcome to Barsha Barsha Barsha. All right. And here we go. I wonder if I could, yes. Here we go. Barsha, Barsha, Barsha. And there comes my mother. That's kind of the cue to stop our lovely Waitbot and sing our opening song to Sara Jacovino. So here we go. Okay, where do you go on Mondays when you want to have fun? Where can you go on Mondays when your day is done? Well, Fireside Chat is where it's at. We have the best of all the guests. Relax, put your feet up, have a cappuccino. Help me in welcoming Sara Jacovino. Help me in welcoming Sara Jacovino. Come on, that's good. Cappuccino.
Wow, I'm impressed.
That was. Now look, I had Tarantino. I had Casino. I had quite a few. I had Bambino. I had Latino. Didn't work. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, I am so happy to introduce to you my friend, my incredible musician, trombonist of the Tina Turner musical on Broadway, Sara Jacovino. I want to just give her a welcome that tells a little bit about what she does. Because she's not just an instrumentalist. I want you to know that. There's a big difference. She is not only a trombonist, she's a composer, arranger, and she has been hailed by many superstar instrumentalists and composers and arrangers. These are the people she's played alongside: the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra, Michael Feinstein, Darcy James, Arg, Secret Society, Johnny Mandel. Let me just tell you, Johnny Mandel wrote The Shadow of Your Smile, didn't he, Sara? Yes, he did. I met him once. Lou Marini. These are people that you will know. And when you hold a chair on Broadway, you have to be very good. We will talk about that in a minute. Not only, yes, you do have to be very good. And she is also very good as a trombonist. I'm going to show you some of her works too. But before anything, you have first of all, welcome, Sara. Say hello. Now, if you hear people clapping and laughing and screaming, that's just wait for them. It's just like a real audience. They're doing reactions. So first I want to ask you, you wake up one morning, you say, "Mom, buy me a trombone."
No. Definitely not. So there's like quite a story behind that, actually. And I'll kind of try to keep it short, but
don't keep anything short. We want to hear everything from you. Go ahead.
So I feel like I was kind of born into this indentured servitude of music. So my dad is a pianist and a music director, and has worn like a million different hats in the music world. So I grew up, the piano room was directly underneath my bedroom. So I grew up like listening to stuff all the time. I felt like I learned music before I could even play it. And I started on piano. As many people do. My mom actually taught me, because my dad's method of teaching me piano was kind of like, learn this by the time I get downstairs, or else you're going to have to go take piano lessons from some nasty older lady. So my mother showed me how to play, and And then when I hit 6th grade, my dad asked his band director friends, like, what do you need a kid with perfect pitch to play? And he said trombone. And here I am.
Excuse me, you have perfect pitch? Okay, watch this, everybody. This is what perfect pitch is. Watch. Okay, I'm just want to show you what perfect pitch is.
I don't play the game.
Okay, what is this?
I'm playing the game. I don't play the game. I'm
Okay.
scarred.
Why? Because you got something wrong once?
No, I never got anything wrong, but it was a childhood like parlor game with my parents.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is PTSD to try to do this game. I'm so sorry. What it does mean, though, is you come into this world for some reason and you know what the names of notes are. I don't even get it. I don't understand.
Just learn it. And it's like you learn it when you're developing how to play instruments, you know what I mean? And it's like you learn what colors look like, and you could tell me that the wall behind me is orange, you know?
But we're not going to get into this because I have good relative pitch, which is
flat sounds like, you know what I mean?
Yes, you know what it sounds like, but is it based on your instrument? Did you have perfect pitch before you started playing the trombone?
Yeah. But I didn't realize what it was.
But you'd hear somebody playing go, that note is not quite in tune.
Yeah, I was a precocious little child who would insult people.
There we go. She was the obnoxious one in music class, but we looked up to her.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so now we're in the piano mode, and then you find out you have perfect pitch, and there are other instruments you could have chosen, like French horn. What made you choose the trombone?
I didn't choose it. My dad chose it.
I know, but you would have stuck with it or not stuck with it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I didn't really stick with it for a while. So I played it all through middle school, and I also played cello because it's like, oh, got to play a string instrument too. And I love cello, love the sound of cello. And I played organ when my dad was a church organist as well. So that was actually my first professional job, playing church organ. That's so funny. You know, I built up enough church for a lifetime. And then by high school, you know, all the trombone parts in band are like really easy. So I was like, I don't want to play this. So I started playing saxophone, alto saxophone. I got my hands on one somehow. And I remember buying some like Rhino Records box set somewhere and of Charlie Parker, because I was like, what should I listen to learn jazz? And I kind of like accidentally transcribed most of the album and learned it. And that's how I learned to play jazz. So I was playing saxophone, and I played a lot of...
Can I stop? Accidentally transcribe? And for those of you that don't know what transcribing means, it means you sit there painstakingly and you write down musically on a staff exactly what the person is playing. So how can you accidentally transcribe? You just thought, oh, I want to learn this, I'm going to just write it down?
No, I didn't write it down. I mean, I just like listened to it like, you know, you listen to a song on the radio and then you sing along to it. I just listened to it. I wanted to play along with it. So I learned all these Charlie Parker tunes and solos just by kind of listening and playing along like over and over and over again. And
That's amazing.
You know, I accidentally learned how to play jazz that way. Honestly, wow. I kind of stumbled into it, and like there's this thing that exists. It's called the Omni Book, and I kind of which is like a big transcription book of all these things written down. But I kind of didn't find that until after I had already learned most of the stuff. So yeah, and then I came back to trombone in college. There you go.
Okay, in college, but you applied to a music school, right?
Yes. Yeah.
On what instrument and in what specific major?
Jazz studies, and at certain schools on trombone, and at North Texas, where I eventually ended up going, I actually got a jazz saxophone scholarship, but then I went on trombone.
Okay, this is fantastic because, as we know, saxophone and fingerings are very different than sliding on a trombone.
Yeah,
correct. They're laughing at me because I know nothing about the trombone. Okay. But let me explain to you something. The writing and the arranging and the composing, did that come before college?
Not really. I mean, sort of. I remember in middle school just like learning my dad had Finale. I had like the original Finale notation software, and now there's like a million additions to it. But I had like Finale 2 or 3.0 or something like that. It was really old. And I remember going in there and like I had a MIDI sequencer, like an old school one with like a floppy disk that you put in. And I would like sequence things to that. And then I'd put things in Finale and it would play it back. And I thought that was just like the coolest thing. I was a really weird child, but that's like, that's what I did for fun. When I wasn't insulting people about their instrument being out of tune. But,
So, yes, and you could tell when the piano was always out of tune. That must have been frustrating because they go out of tune so quickly.
I don't get bent out of shape about that.
Yeah,
But
well. Okay, so now here we are. We're in high school. We get in saxophone. We're going to be, you like to use Finale, which for those of you that don't know, we don't no longer have to take a pen and paper and write. We have to learn this platform, and we put all our stuff in digitally into and it looks good. You can make the handwriting. I like the Broadway copyist font. Most people don't. They like the regular font. Now, did you, when you were in school, that's when you started arranging more, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
composing.
Yes.
And, one of the things I learned from you, actually, I want everybody to know I took a course. There was this in this organization called Maestra Music, which we'll put a plug in, for women composers, arrangers, lyricists, musicians in Broadway shows too. And Sarah did a course on arranging. And one of the things you did, I want to talk to you about because even people that don't understand music will love this. I never realized, and I've been writing music my whole life, that I just thought, okay, if I arrange horns this way, like I never thought about everything all together and what things vibrationally would sound good with other instruments. And that's the big mistake you said that most people make, correct?
Yeah, that's a huge mistake that people don't think about. They just kind of like throw it on the page, and each instrument has like its strengths and its timbral qualities in different parts of its range. So like what an instrument sounds like when it's low, maybe what it's like when it's playing soft when it's low, when it's loud when it's low, when it's high, if it's soft and it's high. And then you have to think about what instrument goes well with that when it's at that part of its range. So maybe you think, oh, a trumpet is playing really high, trombone's lower, but naturally, like an alto saxophone's higher than a trombone. So I'm going to put this trumpet high and put this saxophone in between the trombone, but not realizing that in that part of the range, the saxophone isn't strong. You really have to. I know this is like boring technical stuff.
No, it's not. This is not. Can people clap? This is not boring. Okay. You have to understand that. This is, nobody gets to hear this kind of stuff. And I'm going to play an example why I'm having you talk about this, because I'm going to play an example of you arranging something for a big band. Yeah. And that is why I'm having you talk about it, because I want people to hear what goes into it. So now you've written original music that you've arranged, but you've also written arrangements of songs that exist, like the one I'm going to play. Do you want to talk about how you did this one and how you were asked to do it and who the band is that's playing it?
Yeah, so like Barsha said, I've written a lot of music, and I'm really into kind of using in my original writing, using like a little bit of material and trying to stretch it and make it go a really long way. So I kind of try to do the same thing with arrangements. So I come up with like a little kernel of an idea, and without beating it to death, I like to reuse it over and over and over again the entire time, different ways. Flip it out, flip it over, stretch it, invert it, do everything like that, and just kind of come up with it. So for this particular one that you're going to play, which is probably the most recent studio recording that I have of arrangement of mine, which is why I gave it to Barsha, was commissioned by the Diva Jazz Orchestra they just recently recorded an album of Broadway show tunes. So Sherry came to me, the band leader, and said, "Hey, I want you to do one for yourself. I want you to write a ballad for yourself." And, I wanted to do, like, Proud Mary or something like that. That's the joke, but no. But instead, the most amazing musical that I was not familiar with, actually, City of Angels, which was composed by Cy Coleman. Hell yeah, let's give him applause. And Billy Byers was actually the arranger orchestrator on that, who happens to be another trombonist, legendary. And but yeah, I found this ballad on there, With Every Breath I Take, and it's just absolutely beautiful and haunting. And I came up with this little kind of chord progression and this little ringing back and forth thing that you'll hear, that shows up a whole bunch of times in this piece, probably without you even realizing it. If there's backgrounds behind where I'm soloing, you might hear some of that shifting thing that I used earlier. And I also really love injecting a little bit of like classical music into what I'm playing, or what I'm writing. So I kind of took that. There's some moments in there where it's like pseudo classical, and also I just have to say that I think with any writer or arranger, it's just kind of like a snapshot, as to like where you are in that moment. So when I wrote this arrangement, I'm fortunate to play with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra a lot, and Bob Brookmeyer and Jim McNeely are two principal writers with that band. So I feel like there's a few little things that maybe I was hearing that a lot recently when I wrote it. So I kind of, took a little bit of their aesthetic in certain places too. So,
well, this is great. And the name of the song, do you want to tell them?
With Every Breath I Take.
It's called With Every Breath I Take. Don't get mad at me if I start to talk over this. I know people want to hear all of their names, but we don't have time to just sit here and listen and look at each other. So as we go on, I just want to explain, because when you take your solo in the beginning, it is the most beautiful trombone sound I've heard. And I want people to know when it's you. Okay. So this is her arrangement of this song. And here we go. Hold on. Let me make sure that I got my little drum. Everybody is...
The anticipation is killing me.
The anticipation. Hold on a second. Somebody is texting me. That's why. And telling me, somebody is texting me and telling me right now that they're watching you on YouTube. So I got a little crazy here. All right, let me see if I can get this going, and I have no idea why I can't. And if not, I'm going to play it. No, I'm going to play it from Dropbox. Because that's where you sent it to me. So here we go. Now I'm playing it on Dropbox. I had it going a minute ago. I just want to make sure. Let me see. Oh my God. I just had it going. What is happening? All right. While I'm trying to get this going, and for some reason it doesn't make any sense. Why? Oh, here we go. There we go. Is this happening now? Oy. All right, Sarah, tell them, as I'm trying to get this going, why playing in a Broadway orchestra every single day, the same stuff, is different from playing, like, let's say in a band, or like, are there different things you have to think about every day? How do you prepare, get your, what is different about Broadway as I get this going?
Yeah. So playing for Broadway is really awesome, in that it's like a really great community. I love the people I work with. But if you imagine, after you've played, a certain musical like 500 times in a row, it could be, I don't want to say not fun, it's still fun, but there are challenges to it that you don't find in other traditional music like ventures. So, for example, you have to like be on every single moment, and maybe you're tired or bored or something happened, and maybe you're not paying attention as much, but when you have to play, you have to pay attention, key in, and just suddenly, like a light switch on, and you're listening to everybody around you, you're following the conductor, you're playing in time, you're blending, you're watching. That was it. And Matt playing the articulations perfectly as every single time, like it was the first time, like it's the most interesting time you've ever done it. And even though you know it so well, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to even look at the music, but it's really easy to fall into the trap of
And tell them about when you have to get a sub, what that sub has to do without any rehearsal.
Yeah, so when you get a sub, somebody who comes in, if you want to take off, it's really amazing. We're able to take off and go do other things in order to maintain our musical identity. A sub gets a copy of the music and a video recording of it, the conductor recording it, like what we will be looking at during the show. And they just sit there and they have to sound exactly like I do. Now they get to practice it at home, listening to it, playing it, running it over and over and over again. But when they come in to the show, that's it. There's no rehearsal. There's nothing like that. You just have to play it the first time. And luckily we have the materials so you can do that. It's not about being creative. It's about sounding exactly like me.
Exactly. And, we're lucky because we're in a fairly long-running show now during COVID. I mean, some people did not open again, right, after the initial shutdowns. For 18 months, we didn't all work, by the way.
Yeah, that was...
Okay. Thank you for filling the time with that very important information, because those were going to be my next questions anyways. Okay, here we are. Sara's beautiful arrangement. I just want to say this is all gorgeous, but you heard how beautifully she plays, right? Unbelievable. I'm going to keep going because my favorite part, Sara, is when you change it up to swing. Listen to her. Okay, I'm going to fast forward to the place where it gets, it's kind of like, Okay, I'm fading out because we don't have time to play this whole thing. But can you believe that, everybody? Can you believe how beautiful that was? Okay, they're giving you musical clapping. Okay, first of all, let's talk about this just for a minute. So that's amazing that you get commissions to do that. How long would something like that take? By the way, everybody, it's 7 minutes and 12 seconds long. How long would a commission how long would it take you to do that?
4 months of procrastinating and a week of hardcore writing.
I gotta give you a fanfare for that. Okay.
Don't tell anybody, but actually, I think I like wrote the beginning of that. Like I came up with the idea, and then I kind of wrote a lot of it. Maybe not the rest of it, but a lot of it in between songs at Tina while on the bandstand.
Oh my, see, this is what we do because believe it or not, and this is not to say we're arrogant or anything, but when someone has a chair on Broadway, it's their day job at night. That's what it is. And it's the most incredibly lucrative, wonderful, amazing, fortunate day job.
Yeah.
But we do other things. And I just think it's incredible. Now, you're relatively young, Sarah, correct? When did you get your first Broadway sub gig? And then when did you get your first Broadway chair?
Oh man, so this happened all actually fairly recently. So the first show I ever subbed on was Holiday Inn, which was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, what was something like that. And about 2 weeks after I did that sub, I got hired for a short off Broadway thing. I guess it went well. And then I subbed on one more show, like that in the spring. That was all I was doing, and then I subbed on, and I started starting another show. I got called. I did Madison Square Garden, the Elf thing. That is not technically Broadway, but it is basically the same sort of deal. That year, same year, so like a year later after my first sub, and then I was really, really busy subbing after that. And it just kind of like ballooned because I guess word got around that I was like really good at practicing by myself and just like sounding like the people. And then in 2000, this was 2019, I got called to sub at King Kong. And I remember I was out, I was really busy. I was fortunate playing like a bunch of 8 shows, subbing weeks kind of in a row, but I was out in Michigan filling in professor at Michigan State University teaching some jazz trombone students. And they're like, can you come in and sub at King Kong? And I did. I learned the book really quickly, like 4 days. I think I was like learning it on the plane or something. And then I went and I played there, and they got me in like shortly thereafter. And then I got a call from the contractor saying that the trombonist was leaving and they wanted to hire me. So that's how I got my first Broadway gig. That was in 2019, actually. So yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you were starting the trombone, was it a gender thing where people go, women don't play the trombone?
Yes, it was. It was totally like boy instruments and girl instruments and all that stupid things, all that stupid stuff. And I don't know, I just kind of did it anyways. Like I said, I was that annoying child that just did whatever. I was kind of a little offbeat in more ways than one. So yeah, I had 0 female trombone role models or even really
I was going to ask you that. Who were your trombone role models?
Me.
You.
Honestly, I didn't know of another woman or girl trombone player at all. Like, period.
Wow.
Yeah, and jazz musicians weren't traditionally women either. It was very rare. So I don't quite know why I stuck with it, because I didn't necessarily have like a driving reason to stick with it. I didn't see, oh, I can do that. There was no representation. So,
Well,
uh,
now aren't you glad? Because
oh,
you're in demand,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I'm very fortunate that I'm quite busy. So, I'm really glad that I stuck with it. But,
Uh,
yeah, I didn't yeah, I didn't have any trombone role models. And when I was in high school, one of the deans of my high school, I remember he brought in like a small group from Diva, that jazz orchestra that he wrote that song for, and gave me like some bootleg tapes. And that's like the first time I'd ever heard women like play jazz either. So it was just really strange.
and it still is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that is changing significantly though. Now there's, it takes time to systemically make something over that's been ingrained for so long. Now there's
Yeah.
that younger kids could look up to and be like, "Oh, I want to be like them." So,
Speaking about that, one thing that I did notice, and I asked you about this before we started the interview. I said, Sarah, are you out as a lesbian? And you said, yeah, I've totally been out my whole life. So, do you think that's also, I mean, the attitude of like, hey, I'm unique, I'm my own leader, I play the trombone. Did you feel your when you came out, it was the same kind of thing? Hey, this is the way I am, just deal with it?
no, not at all, actually. So, like I said, I always kind of like thought I was a little off, but like I went to a prep school in New England. It just like wasn't in my head that like, oh, I could be gay or whatever. It just wasn't something that I ever thought of. And then I went to school in Texas for college. So, yeah, that like definitely wasn't even a thought that like entered my mind until it was like, oh, until I like figured it out. And this is like the mid to early 2000s that I was in school there, and it was not a friendly place to be a gay person. So, no, like I wasn't like out for like a year or two. And then when I was, it was met by like hostility with from some people. And some people who who were my friends, you know. But then after that, I was just like, well, screw it. And yeah, luckily, um,
So you still notice those stereotypes because you also sent me. You said, "Here's my shot where I can pass for straight." And you had the hair down and you were walking with boots on and everything. It was very funny,
I
but
know it's funny because like I think any lesbian looks at me, maybe they could be like, maybe she's straight, and then they always say, yeah, but the minute you start walking, then we're like, okay, yeah, duh. But but for me, so it was kind of like I had to come out twice. So when I was in Texas, like I had to come out and then it was fine. Everybody knew me and like I never was trying to hide anything. But then when I moved to New York again, I mean like a lot of people knew who I was when I moved to New York, but to like a straight man that wants to see a straight woman, like I look like a straight woman, I guess. So whatever that means, but yeah, they just like couldn't believe that I could possibly be a lesbian or whatever. So,
it's
uh,
so weird because it's not that you said anything. It's just that you casually in conversation. It was the first Broadway pit I'd been in where the people that were gay just talked about their partners. It
yeah.
wasn't a big deal. It was
Mhm.
the way everybody straight says, "Oh, my husband told me that yesterday." You were, yeah. Thank you for clapping, mom. It really was so great. You'd say, "Oh, my girlfriend and I just we worked in the garden yesterday." I mean, it was like it was so for me at the age of 63 to be in a pit like that where people were just talking about their partners and it was no big deal. It was just so refreshing, you know? I
Yeah,
have to
I
say.
love that. And I love that about like this city that you just talk about everything like it's normal because it is normal. And yeah, nobody thinks twice about it. When I was younger and when I was in school, it was like, oh, you have to come out. But now it's just kind of like you have to just um for the most part, I find, just be who you are. And I always operate.
Did you ever play with your father? Did you end up ever playing a trombone with your father because he was a musician too?
Yeah, my dad was my built-in accompanist in I remember when I was in high school, there's like this sonata that my dad always it's this Schulich sonata for trombone and piano. My dad always jokes that it's a piano sonata with trombone accompaniment because the piano part is so difficult, but in the trombone part, not as difficult. And there's several pieces like that, but yeah, that was so awesome. And the concept of having to like hire and rehearse with an accompanist for juries and stuff when I was in college, well, that was
Yeah.
new. My whole life.
No, I know. And just to show you, if you'd go to sarajacovino.com, there's some older stuff, but they're just as beautiful. These are your Darkness of the Matter, Ordinary Deviation, and how do you pronounce this? Noctilucent Shift?
Noctilucent shift.
What is that? What does noctilucent mean?
It's a type of cloud. I think I thought of it while I was in an airplane, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what type of cloud it is now.
But listen to just little snippets of some of these. You wrote this, right? I mean, come on. This is like a major writer, not just a trombone player. I'm going to play you a little snippet on her website of Ordinary Deviation that she wrote. Do you ever think of lyrics? Like, I almost want to put lyrics to some of these. You just want to keep them instrumental, right?
I think so. I like having vocalists as a texture sometimes, but not necessarily with words.
With words. Okay, and the last one, I'm going to play this Noctilucent Shift because it's so great. Then we're going to take questions and answers. Like that, those changes. Are you? I don't know. I'm just not a jazzer. I'm a rock and roll player. So like, wow. Wow. I'm blown away by all of this. I'm going to be listening to more of it. If anybody would like to come up, push the little react button and you can ask to come up and speak, or I can invite anybody to come up. And if you have anything you want to say to Sara or you want to ask her, any questions, please come up at any time during this section of the show. Okay, so I have a couple of people here. Oh, here we go. So we have up here first, Jill, do you want to say something to Sara or ask a question?
Yes, I want to say I'm just blown away, mind blown. Like, like, that's fantastic. I loved every single bit of it. Every single bit of it.
Isn't that is so great? And if you want to come to video, I invited you to video. You don't.
I don't want to do video this evening.
That's okay. So, yeah, see how people are fans of you already, Sara? Anybody who's on the stage, feel free to unmic and say hello. Here's Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, what do you have to say?
Sara, I love that. It was so moving. I loved how you started it off. I felt like I was like on the docks. It almost felt like a steam horn or something coming in. It gave me like, like the sea and like fog and stuff. Like there's a visual that I get with that music. I love hearing music and then closing my eyes and escaping.
See, these are, yeah, it's really good when people get impressions like that. Impressions. Thank you, Bunny. That is really true. Um, what as people come up and ask questions and say things to you, I also want to know, like, you have been have you been featured? It says in Downbeat magazine.
Yeah, when I was younger, actually, there was like a little article on me. It was very bizarre. It just kind of like featured a bunch of things about my writing and my playing and everything like that. So it was cool because I had a bunch of people that I didn't realize that were kind of following me. Out of the blue, end up calling me, and I ended up getting to do some fun things. So it was
Yeah,
great.
that is, and you also didn't you get some awards from like BMI and stuff like that? What are your awards that you've
Oh,
received?
yeah. So there was a period of my life where I was entering a bunch of competitions and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I won a lot of writing awards actually for large ensemble compositions. And when I first moved to New York, I had no idea what the hell I was going to do with myself. Broadway was not a thought because I had never even like played a high school musical or anything like that. No experience doing it whatsoever. And I thought I wanted to be like a large ensemble writer. So I joined the BMI Jazz Composers Workshop, which as a way of like meeting people. And I thought, oh, I'll kind of like fit in. That was under the direction of Jim McNeely at the time, who is just one of my writing heroes. And I ended up like rising to the top of that pretty quickly. It was cool, and I won an award through them, and they commissioned a piece for me. So it was really cool. It was a great honor.
I love it. Charlotte just came up, who's also is a percussionist, and we've talked to before, but I want to say something Jill wrote in the chat here. I can hear the storytelling in your music too. As a writer, I would definitely listen to your music as I write. What an inspirational force you are. That's great. Thank you, Jill. Charlotte, what did you want to ask or say to Sarah?
Well, thank you. And thank you for your patience. My phone was frozen and I couldn't do a darn thing. I was like, ah! So anyway, Sara Jacovino, thank you so much for coming to our world and sharing this amazing life of yours. And I'll tell you something. This is one of the many reasons why we love Deborah Barsha, because she finds these gems in the world and she brings them to this stage and we go, wow. Yeah, I got to tell you something. You are the inspiration that us older broads, us older lesbians, seriously, that we had to fight and we had to strive so much to make these changes happen. You are living the dreams that we thought about, that we worked for. And I just adore you, Sara. So thank you so much for sharing your world.
That is important. We did. And you may not wear the lesbian star on your jacket, but the fact that you are who you are, you're making it how you're making it, you're in control of your own life, you're not intimidated. There was a time when we could not come out, Sarah, this is like a big deal. And let alone be gay, women at all playing instruments, especially a traditionally male instrument, it's a big deal. It really is. Do you teach young kids? Do you teach younger people trombone? You don't like to teach. No, you don't. That's right.
I don't teach, no, but I do like going and doing clinics at schools. And like you were just saying that, you could see like lesbians being out, people playing music. The thing that I love going now is just a few weeks ago, I was in Iowa and I was at a bunch of different schools. And there are just so many more women trombone players, people playing, jazz that are just like not afraid to make mistakes. I think that's a problem with jazz music, that like little boys are more okay with making mistakes, and little girls are more self-conscious in that way. So there just isn't they don't retain as many women later in life. So yeah, me going to these schools, I'm seeing there are so many more women, so many more girls playing trumpet, playing trombone, playing saxophone, everything, all throughout like the gender roles that like are whatever gender norms, whatever they're in instruments. That's definitely becoming less prominent. So I absolutely love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great. Doing clinics are so great because the people are there wanting to learn. You're not having to get their attention or anything. They show up because they want to be there. I have a stupid question. I know the answer. I mean, is there such thing for a young kid like who wants to start trombone? Is it a small trombone? I mean, do they have? Because how could they handle a big trombone?
No, so actually it is the normal size tenor trombone. It wouldn't have all the like extra triggers on it and stuff that sometimes we use. But I know that's like a problem because it's you have to be of a certain stature to reach all the way out. However, actually, a colleague of mine, Nikki Abisi, who's a great trombonist in the city, she came up with this extendabone sort of thing that you put on the slide. So
the kids can reach it.
Our positions, it's really great tool. So
I guess it wasn't a stupid question. Okay, we have Wendy up here. Wendy, anything to say to Sarah?
I would have probably so much to say, but I am so dumbfounded. Number one, Sarah, I missed what everyone else is raving about, so I'll have to listen to it on the replay. But when I did jump in, and then some of the music that's been, oh my God, I'm just like, it's like Bad Bunny said, it's like, I feel you, you know what I mean? So I just want to say thank you. I think it's just so beautiful. I don't know about the whole lesbian and this and that thing. I could care less about that ever in my life, and I work in entertainment also. So it's like, I don't really know why that's so important, but it's very important. It just isn't something that I just, creative people come in all shapes and sizes, and we are creative. And it's when you get to bring your like soul out and share it in whatever matter that is, right? It's so beautiful. And I love what you do. I love it. So I just want to say thank you.
Wendy, thank you for coming up and saying that. This is really fantastic. I'm also trying to get my mother up here, but I have no idea why she's not accepting my invitation. Mom, I'm sending you an invitation. What would you advise anyone who's starting out? Is there also, I know this sounds crazy, but embouchure wise, can anybody play the trombone? Or are you more suited if you have, is there, I know nothing about it.
Yeah, it's funny that you ask that because there actually are like faces that are more suited for different brass instruments. Like for French horn, people with like no upper lip, that's preferred. Or people with playing trumpet, they should have matched lips, like equal size, and no teardrop in the middle.
Whoa, I really stumbled on something. I'm so excited. Go ahead.
And trombone, like I have pretty big lips, full lips, and because I have trombone lips from playing trombone, I'll never have to get like Botox or collagen injections like, all the time. For sure.
Wow, so you do. Wow, if anybody is watching really small, just put your finger on the video and see Sarah's embouchure there. Now, I'm married to a trumpet player. Yeah. So I know that if you don't keep your chops up and do you have to practice every day? Do you have to play the trombone every day? Because today I asked you, do you want to play? And you said, no, I don't want to play.
No, yeah, you absolutely have to play every day. It's one of those things that's like if you take a day off, it takes you like 5 times as long to get back to it. And it's like a muscular thing, but also I find with me, if I we constantly are busting metal into our face, I find that like it's almost like I have too much skin on my lips or something like that. Or we have natural calluses that maybe will go away. So yeah, my face feels really messed up if I take a day off. Maybe the next day I'll be able to play, but the day after that, like, will be terrible. So I play every single day, obviously. But today I hadn't warmed up until, right before we came on this call. I played for about an hour and a half, just some.
So we're seeing you warmed up. I love it. Now, speaking about that, because I'm so curious about this. So you represent on your bio Doug Elliott mouthpieces, right? Are you like can you like a person is like a Yamaha person on piano,
Yeah.
So is that like your mouthpiece choice? You only play Doug Elliott mouthpieces?
Yeah, so Doug's actually a guy, like he's a small company, and he's kind of a genius when it comes to like placing mouthpieces with particular people. Like in the brass world, I was always told, oh, if you want to play higher, you play on a smaller mouthpiece, or you want to articulate better on a trombone, you play in like a shallower cup or something like that. Just like there's little rules that you follow. But like Doug kind of like looked at my face and was like, let me just see you play. And he's big on this like system. Like maybe I shift my face a certain way when I go into and he gave me some mouthpieces to try. And I actually ended up playing like much larger mouthpiece. I play huge equipment in comparison to most people that do what I do. And I could play super high, super low throughout the entire range. It's very easy. So I think he's totally a genius in terms of that. And he has great equipment for making these mouthpieces. And, he gave me a new couple of new component parts this past summer when I saw him. So yeah, it's great. So yeah, I play his stuff.
And what is an XO performing artist mean? Because that's in your bio too. Can you explain that?
So XO is the trombone brand that I play.
Oh, so oh wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So
That's amazing. Did you have to try a lot of trombones to get that?
Yes. I used to play a different brand of horns, and I was just kind of not super into it. And for me, where I am, the stage I'm not going to just play a horn because somebody's going to say, "Hey, like we'll give you a free horn," or like we'll represent you in some way. For me, I played like every single freaking trombone I could get my hands on, and I just didn't really love any of them. There was one particular company that I sort of liked, but wasn't like the one. And as matters would have it, like John Fedshock at the time was designing this new trombone with XO, and it's kind of a non-traditional size that I play. And he's like, I'm designing this. I have these component parts, like, and you play this size horn. Like, could you come try this? I'm like, let's just try to put together something. And it was like the perfect horn. They put it together, exactly the parts that I wanted. And that's like what was factory measured, and like they sell that now.
That is like having somebody on the red carpet design you specifically like a dress for you to wear. It's like,
oh well.
then look, you're in the beginning of your career, actually. This is what's happening to you now. I'm very blown away. I'm actually learned stuff about you that I never talked to you about at the show, because we don't have time, first of all, and I'm subbing, so I'm not there all the time. But this is really blowing me away. You're a trombone artist, is what you are. You're like an artist, Some people are just like kind of, they just play in sections and stuff, but you're really a soloist. You're an arranger. You care about. So would you say you have a passion for the trombone now, going from like trying different instruments to like now, right? Do you think you'd go to another instrument ever?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think so. I feel pretty at home with the trombone now. I still play piano, and of course, I play all the doubles associated with being a trombone.
Oh yes, tell us about the doubles in a Broadway show because you get extra money
Yeah,
if
you
you
get
play
extra money.
doubles.
So I'm always like, make me play more instruments because I actually okay, so first of all, I'm just going to interject that I think that's what makes me such a good writer too, is that I play all these different instruments to some degree of proficiency. So I know how they should be played and blah 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 blah. But yes, for a Broadway show, because they're trying to save money and make the pit sizes smaller, but they still want the instruments. Now they make people play multiple instruments that are considered like a family of instruments. So I play trombone, and the instruments that I would be expected, I'm not necessarily expected to play, but the common doubles you're going to find are tenor trombone, bass trombone, which I also play on the Tina Turner musical, euphonium, which is like a small tuba, and then tuba, which I play all of those instruments. And yeah,
Did you play in marching band with trombone?
No, my high school did not have a band.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to a prep school. I told you.
You didn't tell me where. Okay.
Oh, the Taft School.
Thank you. The Taft. I taught at the Berkeley Carroll School in Park Slope, Brooklyn. Thank you.
Fantastic. No. We didn't have marching band. We never did anything like that. I missed that experience. And when I went to Texas and to North Texas for college, and they're like, yeah, we have this marching band show. I was like, excuse me? And the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this is a thing. It's a thing in the South, if you didn't know.
And yes, didn't we do the Thanksgiving, Macy's Thanksgiving thing where you had to like lip sync to your trombone or something?
I had to lip sync to my trombone. Thank God we were lip syncing because it was like 25 degrees and profoundly windy. I remember that. It was so windy, and I was wearing like I had like not an ounce of fat on me at the time, and I had on this very skinny like black shirt that the wind just went right through. So good
Well,
thing.
I just want to first of all thank you. Our hour's almost up, but I mean thank you for taking your day off from the show to actually come here and speak to everybody because I'm sure everybody is inspired by you. Seriously. So sarajacovino.com. I found a way in the opening song to rhyme Jacovino with cappuccino. Wasn't an exact rhyme, but I did pretty well. And I just want to say this has been like a joy, a joy, a joy, a joy. Thank you, Sara Jacovino. If anybody wants to go to sarajacovino.com, listen to any more of her music, be on the lookout for her. Go look at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and you will see her freezing her ass off lip syncing to trombones. Sara, thank you. Bye, everybody. See you next week when we have our dance captain from our show coming on, Leandra Ellis Gaston.